Welcome to United We Stand. This is my podcast for today. Today is November the 14th. I did a whole thing on Substack this morning about Putin just stole the White House, and we need to get off our asses. We have 1 week tops. If we do not have a mass movement of voters speaking out for recounts in the swing states in the next 24 to 48 hours, week tops, we lose our country, people. And we don't get to vote again in 4 years because whatever the fuck just happened, it's going to happen again. And we're going to be like, oh, look, we didn't get the vote out again. Oh, let's pick a different candidate. We're just not being very good at this election stuff anymore. Okay, because we just got to figure this out again. Okay, let's what we do wrong again. And then in 2032, the Dems come back again and get their asses kicked again. And we finally oh, wow. You mean Elon being hooked up to all the voting machines is not a good idea? How could that possibly be? No way. No way that could ever be related. No way. It's just not possible. Okay? That man over there, that man that on his taxes... Okay, I'm sorry. I get a little emotional. It makes me kind of like... And I want to do comedy characters, but I suck. I just make a lot of weird noises. That man over there, yeah. Do you know what he lists his New York apartment as in Trump Tower? 33,000 square feet. And 5 times its value. It is really an 11,000 square foot apartment. But when he wants to get a loan, he just jacking up the numbers. Who gives a... Trump breaks all the rules. Trump tried to steal our last election 5 different ways. He had a plan in place before election night. He already had the balls ready. Whichever way it went, he knew what cards he was going to play. And when he was going to play them, the speech was already written. They already knew what kind of lawsuits they were going to try to bring. They already knew they were going to try to steal software. Because if they didn't win, they were going to come back again. And Hitler did the same thing. We must call for recounts. We can't play stupid grandma, feed them milk and cookies while they steal and gut our fucking country and our rights. Do you hear me? Hear me. All I want is for someone to stop and get Kamala Harris, to Vice President Harris. My mom says I say her name wrong all the time. So if I say her name wrong, I'm so sorry. To do recounts and investigate. Let's look at this thing. Let's autopsy a little bit. Let's just double check before we go through a 12-year hell ride. Because in 4 years, we don't have a free vote and he wins in a landslide again. And then in 4 more years, the Republican, and he wins in a landslide again. I mean, listen to the cyber experts. All right. I am going to break this down real quick. Stephen Spoonermuir has been debunked. And everyone's basically like, yeah, he was debunked. Throw that in the garbage can. Okay. So let's have a fun fact. And you can go read all about it on my Substack. The link will be in the description below. Christopher Columbus was wrong in all of his numbers. All of his numbers. His models of the earth were wrong. The distance to India was wrong. That you could even get to India was wrong. Okay. 90% of what he believed was wrong. But there was one thing he knew. The earth was round, not flat. And it was revolutionary. People that had been sailing the ocean forever had not realized the earth was round. Always this fear of going off the edge. Okay. Galileo was part of the church, not just a scientist. He was a priest. And his biggest discovery was the earth was not the center of the universe. The planets traveled in orbits, and he could describe it mathematically. They orbited the sun. He figured out the calculations. Okay? But then he tried to prove that the entire universe orbited around our sun, and those calculations went wrong, but he worked at it. All right? Science and knowledge is sometimes about being right and wrong simultaneously. And while Stephen's numbers may not have been correct, his theory is right on. He got it. He knows. He's been working. He's been doing undercover stuff for a little minute. And he's more of a computer nerd than anything. He's a numbers guy, and he understands the statistics and the way that things work in the computer world. And we need to honor that. We also need to honor the duty to warn letter from, and I apologize to the group. I don't have the numbers in front of me. I'm sitting outside shaking because it's like 40 degrees and it's glorious out here. Okay, guys, look at this. This is glorious. Okay, we have a beautiful world and a beautiful country, and we need this week to all stand up and say, recount, prove he won. We're not just going to sit here and believe Donald Trump. We're going to make him prove it. You prove to me he won, I'll honor it. But I'm not just going to lay down, hand him milk and cookies, and let him gut my government until somebody does some recounts and we check. Because we have the security people, multiple coming forward saying they had the software, they had access through the satellites, done before, after, through, whenever, however. Bombing disruptions from Russia. Thousands of people who are saying their votes weren't counted. Hundreds of thousands of people that we know the Republicans threw off rolls in many, many states by contesting them thousands and tens of thousands at a time, county by county, because they were shown how. And they were being malicious. And they want to take away people's free rights. They're all claiming it's all illegals voting. That's the claim. Is all these millions of illegals. Who started that claim? Donald Trump. Donald Trump is the only one that's ever made that claim. No one else in this country has ever said illegals were allowed to vote, because they're not. Okay, and the instances where a few get away with it are very small. Okay, our numbers are in the millions. And we need, when we are having these razor thin margins in different counties where there has been so much manipulation, has anyone looked into billionaires giving millions of dollars for people to do his thing? And to do his thing, you have to be a registered voter. Okay? There are things that need to be addressed. We need someone, the adult in the room, which will be Vice President Kamala Harris, and we need to all stand up and say, look, I know Hawaii's wonderful, and you lost and you're licking your wounds. Okay, I'm sorry. Get your ass back here and let's do a double take. Let's lift the hood and just make sure all this is right before we just hand our motherfucking democracy over to you so you can dismantle it with this band of fucking lunatics you're assembling. Okay? I'm sorry. The founding fathers would be appalled beyond measure. Heartbroken to watch their democracy die on our watch. Let us all stand up. We're not asking for much, just a fucking recount. Just somebody look at all this and make sure that we just had an actual legal and fair election. Because whatever the hell they just did, they're going to do it again in 28 and we're going to lose again. I can tell you that right now. So y'all need to wise up. If you believe Donald Trump, the man who cheats at golf, cheats on his wives, cheats on his taxes, cheats out his business partners. I mean, look at what he did to Michael Cohen, faithful lawyer for 10 years. And then Donald Trump threw him in jail to silence him, did criminal action against him to stop his book from coming out, or action against him to stop his book, and sued him for $500 million, which, of course, the only thing is you have to have the money to go to court to fight Donald Trump, who has millions to throw at you and throw you under the bus. Okay? Jessica Denson did it too. Okay? This is a predatory agency, and they just preyed on the United States, and we cannot be happy little grandmas. We're going to protect democracy by being nice and politely handing over power. Here's milk and cookies with that Donald Trump. Take our women's rights. Take our money. Take our democracy. What? All I'm asking is for 100,000 people to stand up and say, no, you will prove it. Prove it. Fucking prove it. We just looked at 10 years of your taxes, motherfucker. You lied and cheated all over the motherfuck place. Prove you won that election. And Vice President Harris, we call for you to stand up and come back to Washington, D.C. and open an investigation into this election, every piece and part that was different than 2020. Thank you. Love you all. Okay, united we stand and vote for democracy, for freedom, for our children. I love you all. Bye. Like, subscribe, comment. Oh, if you want to ask me questions about Steven Spoonemere stuff, put them in the comments below. I'll make a more detailed video because his stuff is so in-depth on how he would do it, what kind of team he would do it. Some of the other attacks we've seen that were actually more complicated than this one, like the buzzer attack in the Middle East that we just had, where they blew up all those beepers and attacked Hamas. That was a much more complicated operation than hacking our election with the access and the information they have at this point. So, we need to wise up. I love you. Save democracy.